Auzubillahi Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Dear students, welcome again in Pakistan International School Taif, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia Virtual Learning System Session 2020. This is English for grade 7. Name of the book is Othello and Other Short Stories from Shakespeare's Plays. Today's lecture number 32, chapter number 22, chapter number 2, Timon of Athens. We were doing reading and explanation from page 17 to 30. I am your teacher, Adnan Sabir Mirza. Dear students, you might have noticed that during the previous lecture, at page number 24, we lost the screen link due to the internet connection problem. So I will continue from the same page now. So we start again. Here we are. We were reading Timon of Athens. The chapter was the general at page number 23. So we'll continue from page number 24. As an Athenian, the man had fought in many wars, received many painful wounds, and lost much blood, all for the sake of city. His strength and courage had helped Athens. Now, instead of fighting many of the city's enemies, the man had fought just one for her citizens. And he had only done that because the man had insulted him. The Senate had been pleased to let the man shed his own life blood for the city in the past. Alcibiades said now that he had made a mistake and was in trouble, surely the Senate could show just a little mercy. The senators would not change their minds. Showing mercy, they said, would only encourage other people to do even worse things. When the law was broken, criminals had to be punished. That was the only way people could be made to respect the law. The senators would not listen to anything Alcibiades said. Alcibiades tried again and again to make them listen, and everyone got angrier and angrier. In the end, the senators were so displeased with Alcibiades that they decided to punish him too. They forced him to go into exile. They made him leave Athens, his own city, and said he could never return. In the forest far from the city, Timon found shelter in a cave. He lived on what little food he could find in the forest. Mostly he lived on roots of plants which he dug out of the ground with his bare hands. One day, while digging for roots, he discovered a piece of gold. He dug a little deeper and soon found a large pile of treasure. There was enough gold there to do anything. If he took it, Timon would be richer than he had ever been before. However, the sight of this bright gold reminded Timon that the money made men greedy, selfish, and mean. At first, he felt the gold should remain there, where it would cause no trouble. But then another idea came to him. Why not use it to punish greedy people for their wickedness? He kept a little to use if he needed it, but put most of it back. Page 25. Just as he had done this, he heard the sound of military music and soldiers marching. A band of soldiers arrived. led by Alcibiades. Alcibiades was now marching in revenge against the city of Athens. He needed money to pay his soldiers. At once, Timon gave Alcibiades some of the gold he had just found. He said that he hoped it would help to bring misery and ruin to help the people of Athens, to rich and poor, men and women, young and old. Alcibiades asked Timon what he would like in return for all the money. Timon answered, "The only thing I want is for all those people to be punished." So Alcibiades left with the gold Timon had given him. So we finished up to here. Now the next uh, heading, a visitor. When it came to know where Timon was living, the cynical philosopher Epictetus came to see him. He thought Timon might have some cynical like himself, and he wanted to know if they shared the same views. Epictetus thought all human beings were evil, and he never had anything good to say about any of them. He took what he could from them without being in the least bit thankful. Timon, though he thought evil of men, did not want anything to do with them at all. He did not make use of anyone either to help him live or to keep him company. Even though Epimenides agreed with Timon's idea about people, he did not make Timon like them. Timon thought the philosopher was just as bad as everyone else. Epimenides urged Timon to use wicked people for his own purposes instead of living such a lonely, uncomfortable life. That was the right way to treat people, he said. After all, in the past, they had taken everything from Timon and given nothing back. But Timon refused to return to the company of those he hated and scorned. He thought the philosopher was coward for pretending to be a friend to those who could not love or respect. Epimenides felt that Timon was a fool for preferring to live alone in misery. Timon soon sent him away. The thieves. Later on, some thieves came into the forest. They were thin and hungry looking and seemed to be very fear, fierce. Fierce means angry. "Where is all this gold you say Timon keeps here then?" one of them asked. "I doubt if there will be much. Just a small part of what he used to have. It was the loss of his gold and his friend that returned him and with sadness. You remember and caused him to come and live out there. People say he still has plenty left," another said. "Well, let's catch him and see what happens. If he hates his gold, he will be happy to give us some. But what will we do if we refuse to give it to us freely?" At that point, Timon came along, searching the forest for something to eat, and he saw the thief. Timon knew what they were, but he was not frightened. "How are you, thieves?" he said, in reply to their greeting. "We are soldiers, not thieves," they answered. "That's much the same," said Timon. "No, really, no, really, we aren't thieves. We are just poor men in need. You certainly look poor. You look as if you need something to eat. But why should you be hungry? Look around you. There are plenty of fruits and vegetables growing in the ground. There are hundreds of good, clean springs to drink from within a mile of here. There are different kinds of fruit on the trees and berries in the bushes. Nature is generous housewife. She has all kinds of things for you to eat. Why should you be in need? The thieves thought this was very amusing. We can't live on grass and berries and water like animals and birds and fishes, one of them said. Page 27. No, and I suppose you think you can't live on the animals themselves either, Timon replied. What you want to feed on are the lives of men. But at least you do not pretend to be better than you are. And I am thankful to you for that. There are plenty more thieves who appear to belong to respectable professions. Everything's a thief. Timon took some gold coins from his clothes and threw them to the thieves. Here you are, you naughty thieves. Here's gold for you. Go and buy wine and drink yourself to death. That is the only way you will escape hanging. The thieves were down on their hands and knees immediately looking for gold coins. Timon kept on talking to them. At first, they did not pay much attention to what he was saying, but after a while, they began to listen. He began to talk about them, and in a very strange way. Don't put your trust in doctors, Timon advised them. Doctors kill more people than you take their money to. You do your thieves, you do your thieves like good workmen. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. Listen, I'll tell you about all about thieving. There are thieves all around us. The sun's are the sun's a thief. He steals water from the sea. The moon's thief. Moon's a thief. She takes her light from the sun. The sea's a thief. It steals the moon straight to make strength to make it its tides. The earth's a thief. It gets its goodness from water, whatever it drops onto it. Page 28. Everything's a thief. Nothing can be done about it. Laws, prisons, whips, no matter uh, how rough they might be, cannot stop thievery. The thieves looked at one another in complete silence. Never in their life they had heard anything talking this way. Timon took out some more gold and threw it to them. So come along, you thieves. Start robbing each other. Here's some more gold for you. Go ahead. Cut as many throats as you like. Everyone that you meet is a thief and no better than you. Go to Athens, break into the shops. You can't really steal anything because everything has been stolen already. The people that lose what you take all are thieves themselves. Well, said the leader of the thieves, when someone like him persuades me to be a thief, I'm almost persuaded not to be one. He is only telling us this because he hates everyone, said another. It's a trick. Really, he is trying to make us think we are failures in our own special profession. I don't trust him. If he says we can do it, then I think I'll stop being a thief, said a third. The thief picked up the gold coins and left, thoughtfully. The steward. The steward, who had been searching for his master, came to the forest. Through love and loyalty, he had come to live with Timon as his servant. When he saw the sad change in his lord, he cried. Timon, formerly so richly dressed, so full of life and laughter. was now in rags, sad, sad and weary of life. Rags means his clothes were torn out, in very pathetic and poor condition. At first, Timon would not believe that Stewart was as loyal as he seemed. But when the steward plainly showed his affection and desire to stay and serve him, Timon at last said he could see that there were still one honest man left in the world. However, as he had no love left in his heart for anyone, Timon would accept no kindness even from his servant. He just offered the steward some good. The steward made a last appeal. Oh, let me stay and comfort you, my master, he cried. But Timon would not agree, and the poor man left in sorrow. Some days later, the steward returned with two of the chief senators of Athens. They had come to beg Timon to save Athens. Alcibiades and his army were close to the city and looked at it as if they were going to attack it. They might even burn it down. The senators were very worried. They said that there was no one in the city who could lead the citizens in their struggle against Alcibiades. Timon, when he was a young man, had once led the armies of Athens successfully against the city's enemies. Now they begged him to return. If he took command, he would have full power to govern as he wished. He would be honored by all citizens of Athens and he would receive great wealth. These were the people who had been ungrateful to Timon when he most needed their help. Now they urgently needed his help. They received a cold, heartless reply. Timon would not help them even in the smallest way. If Alcibiades kills my countrymen, let Alcibiades know that Timon does not care. He pointed to a tree. He said to the senators that if they wanted to get rid of their troubles, they could come here and hang themselves. The senators left. Timon, the man hater. Alcibiades captured Athens but not burn the city or kill all the citizens, as Timon had hoped. Instead, he listened to the senators. They told him that many of the men who forced him to go into exile had already died. Most people in the city had done nothing to harm him. It would be unfair to kill them all. Alcibiades promised to punish only the enemies of himself and time. He said none of the citizens of Athens need be afraid of his soldiers because he would make sure that the soldiers obeyed the laws of the city. Shortly before this, one of Alcibiades' soldiers had been walking through the wood where Timon lived. The soldier was looking for Timon, but instead he found a grave. It was the edge of the wood by the seashore. The soldier could see Timon's name on the tombstone. However, he could not read any of the other words that were written there, so he made a copy of them. When Alcibiades had finished talking to the senators, the soldiers told him that he thought Timon was dead and showed him the copy he had made of the writing of it on the tombstone. The words said, "Here lie I, Timon, who hated everyone. Pass by and curse me if you wish, but do not stop to cry for me." These must be Timon's own words, said Alcibiades thoughtfully. This is the way he thought in later part of his life. He scorned our sorrows for his unhappiness. He thought nothing of the few tears we human cried for him. Yet how cleverly this has ended. He has had his body placed by the seashore where the great ocean's tears fall forever on his simple grave. Noble Timon is dead, but he shall never be forgotten. So, dear students, this was the end of the tragic story of Timon. Now, the exercise section. Put the letters of these words in the right order to say what this part of the story is about. The first has been done for you. Timon gave. Now, these are jumbled words. You have to write them in correct order. Timon gave gold to Alcibiades in order to bring misery and ruin to the people of Athens. He thought Epaminondas was a coward. This word was jumbled and we made it coward for pretending to be a friend to those he could not respect. He refused to return to the company of those who hated and scorned. So he gave gold to the thieves and persuaded them to continue stealing. He would not let his number six steward serve and comfort. Seven, comfort him. He refused to lead the its citizens citizens put an S as well. Citizens of Athens in their struggle, 9 year struggle against Alcibiades. Now make the column, match people's name with the right notes about them. Question B, yes. When Tydeus had become very rich, Lucullus said he had warned Timon not to be so generous. Lucius, yeah, too, said he was very sad. He could not help Timon. Said all his misery was invested in a all his money was invested in a business. Sempronius said he felt insulted because he was asked last and said he could have given more than was asked. So, dear students, do these exercises in your notebooks and on the exercise page of your book. This was the end of your chapter 2, the Diamonds of Essence. Inshallah, see you in the third and last story, Coriolanus. Yes, Coriolanus. Coriolanus. That is the third and last of the first term or the midterm. Okay, see you inshallah in the next lesson. So till now, goodbye. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.